live for like 15 minutes. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Hey, Inspired. Hey, Lori. Rest in heaven, Diana, speaking my interest. Good morning. I'd ask you to share, but I've got a post. You gonna make me turn up for you. But yeah, if you would make a social media post telling people we're live, that'd be great if you can. Lori, stuff's already popping off. I am my piece. I'm about to say my piece. You might not agree with me. Anyway, sorry, I was listening to. We should, so we're not reverbing. This shit is already popping off. Okay. So the first thing we gotta talk about. Big things. Big things first. Remember, we always start with the gas. Joe Biden met with the G7 yesterday digitally. So for everyone that's like, they ain't doing anything, okay? Because that's what people have been doing, okay? So a lot of people are like, oh, nothing's going on. It's like, okay, what's going on with Elon? So I mean, that's kind of what I'd said. He met with uh Iran. Okay, that is not an ally. Okay, he's met with Putin. He's done favors for Xi Jinping. Um, multiple counts of treason. Like again, there's a reason that I made a video where I'm like, hey, maybe that chat my ass too. Yeah, it fucking sucks. It sucks. Like again, I want to make sure everyone understands. You drop lesser charges for greater charges. And so when you see Elon Musk and Donald Trump acting like totally normal citizens when they leave their abodes, understand they're under an immense amount of scrutiny. And I get it. This sounds an awful lot like I'm saying like I'm trying to empathize with them. No, I'm not. I'm talking about like everywhere they go is fucking monitored the fuck out of. So I get it. Y'all are like, oh, they're so privileged. They, if I did 1/10 of what they did, I'd be in prison forever. Yeah, because you don't have the money to get out of it. Everything has a fucking price. And again, I had always argue when you get a severe monetary penalty for something that you've done, that's the sign. Like most people don't have $50 million to pay the government by Monday or get indicted for securities fraud. Okay. Again, I'd argue that's a lot of action. Like if I was going down the list of shit of that had to pop off for me to feel like there was movement, hey, remember that my little birdie told me they felt the next domino to fall was Elon Musk. Hey, uh, Elon Musk has to come up with 50 million by tomorrow, or he's getting SEC charges, and that's just the tip of the fucking iceberg. All they got to do is get you in a room. You know that, right? Obviously, if you're like a woman right? That doesn't sound good, right? But when you're the richest man on earth and you have $400 billion in net worth, and keep in mind most of that's tied up. That money is tied up. He's not that liquid. They've been monitoring Elon Musk. They have to have a angle on his finances. The 50 million? Oh, B plus said I got really discouraged by the ABC settlement. Consider it a bribe then. How does it feel now? ABC bent the knee. Understand that what had happened is that George Stephanopoulos on ABC said that Donald Trump graped E. Jean Carroll and paid $15 million to Donald Trump because Donald Trump and his lawyers argued Donald Trump essayed E. Jean Carroll. I thought it went like essay and rape was underneath that. So I thought if you essayed someone under the essay umbrella is rape. So for the record, if it's backwards, I'll admit that I'm backwards and I don't know what essay is. But I thought under the blanket of sexual assault, rape was found, right? So you could take that to court. You could take that to court, and you could argue that May, yes, dear. Donald Trump sued them because he's like, I didn't get a rape charge. We can say rape. I'm sorry, it's triggering, but like I don't have to mask my language anymore. I don't like doing that. I know that a lot of people have had to get used to speaking in code, but I don't feel like we have to do that on YouTube. I don't know what that noise is. I hope my audio is not going out. Um, but yeah, so we could talk about the is there really a difference? Come on. Oh, that's what I'm saying. Like they're splitting hairs. And you could have gone to court and you chose not to and you agreed to pay at 15 million. Oh, that's bending the knee. That they're and I'd argue they're funneling money to Donald Trump because he's broke. And I also want to point out Donald Trump committed treason and afterward Mark Zuckerberg gave him $1 million. I'd argue Mark Zuckerberg has committed treason by giving aid or comfort to our enemy. Remember, I still see Donald Trump as an enemy of the state. So ABC giving him 15 million is fucking bribery. They're trying to keep him off keep them off his radar and stay in his good graces. And also, like I've said before, I have friends that are lawyers, and and I have friends that are also lawyers and not by trade, meaning they pass the bar and aren't practicing. And so I can feel like I can go to them for legal stuff and they'll give me the skinny because their career don't depend on it. Do you understand what I'm saying? So I have a unique angle in that most people, if they have to go to someone that is a practicing attorney, yo, it costs money. Questions cost money. Okay. I can just ask my friends, hey, what does this mean? And they're like, this. And so the lawyers that I'm aware of, they've spoken and said, shit is driving me up a wall. Okay. So I want to make sure we start off with I don't have a problem addressing the settlement. Okay. That was bending the knee, that was a bribe, that was obeying in advance. It was also giving aid and comfort to an enemy of the state. And he had to have it because he needs it. You don't have the money. Okay. Um and I was thinking about this. What does it say about Donald Trump when billionaires are only willing to part with a milli? Do you get it now? Like, he's been given $1 million in the last few weeks. For what? And the money that, the settlement money, doesn't even go to Donald Trump. It goes to a library that he had agreed to build, and it's like a promise he hadn't kept. You know what I mean? So I get it. I get it. People, it's easy to get discouraged and get to a point where you're like, oh my God, nothing's going to happen. But it's just like, how come the left isn't coming out here telling you about drones? Have you even considered for a moment that you have not seen an elected Democrat come talk about drones? Why is that? They're playing lame. They're playing lame. He's a fourth grader. What the fuck? They're not laying down to him. They're playing lame. They're trying to get him to keep committing fucking crime because he's so prolific. Like, that's one of the things that people don't fucking get about the Trumps and all their ilk. They don't give a fuck. They'll do whatever the fuck they want to do, and if it's a crime, it's a crime. They'll pay. They'll get out of it. But they're not afraid of him. I'm not afraid of him. Oh, I'm not afraid of. I'm not, like I've told y'all that before. I'm one of the rare people you meet who has no fear of no man. I can't speak for others, but I don't think they're scared of him. I think that he's such a prolific criminal that if you just rile him up a little bit, like I think about Grant Cardone. Do you guys know who this is? Grant Cardone falls into the ilk of like the Ben Shapiro's, Jordan Peterson, Alex Jones, Joe Rogan. Grant Cardone, he spoke at that Klan rally at Madison Square Garden. You know what I'm talking about? In October. Yeah, Grant Cardone. Um, he's kind of fueling this fire too. Um, and like I said, this is going to be the largest. Think of it like a drug bust. This is about to be the largest drug bust in history. And I'm not talking about dope. It's just that they're all ketamine addicts and coke addicts. I think people actually complained about no movement actually prosecuting after the loss in 2020. Okay. So, so, let's talk about that. May. He's been prosecuted. There were 34 felonies that he has not been sentenced for. The hard part is over. We're past discovery. We're past the trial. We are at the point where that man's due to be sentenced. And that has been suspended. And I would like to point out, why would you suspend a trial for an insurrection? Possibly to pursue treason charges. And I also don't think people see, it's like you also answered your own question, dear. Also, Republicans obstructed the fuck out of that investigation, in those investigations. And understand that despite their obstruction, again, now that I know Executive Order 13848, and I'm gonna post this like every day, so I know y'all are gonna get tired about hearing about this. Okay, but here's a Reddit post that has both. Okay, it has both a link to Executive Order 13848. Okay, and it also has a link in it to the DOJ's prosecution of election crimes. So, one of the things that I want to do, I want to make sure that we do, because it helps people not be so scared, okay, is I want to go over what Executive Order 13848 does and how it changes the game. It changed the game for me, okay? Because here's what I was thinking. Because I know y'all are like, what's this dude thinking about? Okay? Because I was thinking, like, okay, Donald Trump's path to the presidency is muddy the results of the election enough to get it to a friendly SCOTUS. See, I could have said a lot more words, but the skinny was Donald Trump wanted to muddy the results of the election, get it to a friendly SCOTUS so they'll give it to him. How are they going to give it to him? So, you know how people have been clamoring for mass recounts and mass audits? That goes through the fucking Supreme Court, and they could say no. So the only recounts and audits that are going to happen are the ones that automatically happen. Does anybody have any questions, or should we continue? And I know you're oh my god, they're not going to do no, because there's evidence of fraud. So they're just going to keep doing what they're doing while they investigate. And see, I thought there's a chance they find fraud. They go to try Donald Trump for election fraud. SCOTUS says no. SCOTUS says no and refuses to try him for election fraud, treason. Okay? They refuse to try him, and then that's when the ICC steps in. So one of the things that people don't understand is that in order for the International Criminal Court to actually intervene, there has to be a refusal to try by the government in place. You can do your own research. You could have found this information on your own. Those are just facts. You don't have to like them. It's just fucking facts. So now that you know, prior to the knowledge, I didn't have this knowledge that we're about to talk about. I had the knowledge I already talked about, where I was like, hey, here's how this works. Donald Trump muddies the result of the election. The SCOTUS basically refuses to try any election-related crimes. Okay? Do you understand now? This is their plan. This is not my plan. I did not come up with this. I would prefer to do things honestly, because generally I'm trying not to go to federal pound me in the ass prison. I don't know about anybody else. Or the Hague, or firing squad. Yeah. So that's part of the reason. Yeah, because there's plenty of people that have come to me and been like, "Stupid lib, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about." Because if the Democrats felt like there was fraud, if there was shit going on, they would have demanded a nationwide recount or a nationwide audit. And I'm like, really? And do you know who ultimately would decide whether or not that happens? SCOTUS, a 6-3 conservative SCOTUS, is going to refuse to try any election-related crimes, and they're also going to make you do the whole wag the dog if you want an audit. Meaning you got to pay for it, and you pretty much got to show all your evidence up front. Well, if I'm the Democrats, I ain't doing any of that shit. I'm not publicizing my data. I'm also, you know what I mean? We're not doing this shit publicly. Because, jazz hands, on September 12th, 2018, Donald J. Trump, president at the time, and I'm going to read some shit. You talking about my MAGA nonsense? Why are you here? Here, let me help you. I don't want you here anyway. So you're just hidden. Your messages will be hidden. Yeah. Whatever. So that was what I thought. Was like, okay, so this is how this works. And then he's gone. Yeah, so what I was thinking was how it works is Donald Trump muddies the results of the election, gets it to a friendly SCOTUS. They refuse to try stuff. It makes it really harder than it would normally be, is what I'm getting at. For I don't know. It's no new friends, right? So that's what I had thought. The path to victory was through the ICC, trying Donald Trump for the shit that he wouldn't. That they wouldn't try him for. And remember, that's the only way it was going to happen, was that little clause that the ICC says they won't intervene unless the existing government refuses to try. Understand that's incorrect. Like, all of that shit is incorrect. So ignore me. Because on September 12th, 2018, Donald Trump, by the power vested in me as president by the Constitution and the laws of the United States of America, including International Emergency Economic Powers Act, the National Emergencies Act, and the Immigration and Nationality Act of 1952, I find that the ability of persons located in whole or unsubstantiated part outside the United States to interfere or undermine public confidence in United States elections, including through the unauthorized accessing of election and campaign infrastructure or the covert distribution of propaganda and disinformation, constitutes an unusual and extraordinary threat to national security and foreign policy of the United States. Hey, for the record, Donald Trump did not write this shit. Side note. Although there has been no evidence of a foreign power altering the outcome or vote tabulation in any United States election, foreign powers have historically sought to exploit America's free and open political system. In recent years, the proliferation of digital devices and internet-based communications has created significant vulnerabilities and magnified the scope and intensity of the threat of foreign interference, as illustrated in the 2017 Intelligence Community Assessment. I hereby declare a national emergency to deal with this threat. Again, Donald Trump did not write this shit. But what it says is no later than 45 days after the conclusion of a United States election, the Director of National Intelligence, in consultation with the heads of any other appropriate executive departments and agencies, shall conduct an assessment of any information indicating that a foreign government or any person acting as an agent of or on behalf of a foreign government has acted with the intent or purpose of interfering in that election. This assessment shall identify to the maximum extent ascertainable the nature of any foreign interference and any methods employed to execute it, the persons involved, and the foreign government or governments that authorized, directed, sponsored, or supported it. The Director of National Intelligence shall deliver this assessment and appropriate supporting information to the President, the Secretary of State, the Secretary of the Treasury, the Secretary of Defense, and the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security. So what had happened was, within 45 days of receiving the assessment and information described in Section 1 of this order, the Attorney General and the Secretary of Homeland Security, in consultation with the heads of any other appropriate agencies, as appropriate, state officials shall deliver to the President this report, subject to the assessment. Okay? Okay. And then it goes on to say, nothing in this order shall prevent the head of any agency or any other appropriate official from tendering to the President at any time through an appropriate channel any analysis, information, assessment, or evaluation of foreign interference in the United States elections. But yeah, it says heads of all relevant agencies shall transmit to the Director of National Intelligence any information relevant to the execution of director's duties pursuant to this order and appropriate. If relevant information emerges after submission of the report mandated by Section 1 of the order, in consultation with the heads of any other appropriate agency, shall amend the report as appropriated. I'm trying to find. I'm looking for language in the document. Sorry. But yeah, so the thing to think about is they're going to investigate this election. And it says all relevant agencies. And flatly, I would include any agency that Donald Trump has named or Elon Musk has named, and they would be part of my investigation. Why do they want to get rid of the EPA? Right? Why do they want to roll back worker protections? Stuff like that. So what this does that wasn't gonna happen. I don't think it was gonna happen. Was what this does is this makes election crimes triable by the DOJ, which skirts SCOTUS. I'm guessing the sorts of crimes they're going to uncover lead to a treason charge, and then when you charge Donald Trump with treason, and they refuse to try, then it's ICC, Hague, etc. So things changed, right? And again, I would argue Donald Trump would probably deny that he signed this and say I didn't write that shit, that's for sure. And that's goddamn correct. He did not fucking write that shit. But what it also does is it gets all these agencies to do a detailed report on this election and give that information. And it says any information, by the way. So Spoonamore, Sing, all that stuff you've seen that's public, all the data on Reddit that you've seen people combing through election data and showing you this shit doesn't make sense, that all has to be reviewed. So there are people that haven't done any of that shit that have been saying they're not doing anything, they're not going to help us, they're just going to let far right take over and fascism take over in the United States. Bullshit. It's a matter of national and international security. All these agencies are doing something that for the 95 to 97% of their existence they haven't had to do. So understand that this didn't happen before 2018. And also I want to point this out. Steven Spoonamore, okay, who's another data analyst just like Jackie Singh, Steven Spoonamore for more than like 25, 30 years has been doing data analysis of our elections. And I know you're all thinking, and they've cheated in every one, right? No, actually. So, at least they were really good. Yeah, and understand that the Republicans in my lifetime have won 3 elections, and there was interference in all. So, Democrats win if Republicans don't fucking cheat. Those are just facts. So Spoonamore says no fraud 2000, 02, but in 04 he found fraud and overturned the election. Gore. Okay? And then also says nothing in 06, 08, 10, 12, or 14. Pretty clean elections. In 2016, there is verifiable interference, but not fraud. So I know that you're all like, he cheated in 2016 too. You got to understand outside interference in our elections, unless they can fucking tie it to you directly, is not going to keep you from running for office. I know, sucks to hear. It's just true. So in 16 there was no fraud, but there was interference in that election for sure. Now, 2020 there was interference and there was fraud. Okay? Not enough to swing the election. And of course there was Donald Trump's refusal to certify the election, or he expressed he didn't want him to certify the election. He interfered with the peaceful transfer of power. Okay. And for the record, charged. And for the record, the only thing he hasn't been is convicted. Or not convicted, sentenced. In those 34 counts and those 2 investigations, Jack Smith double dismissed without prejudice. What that means is that he has committed a greater crime that has greater, stiffer penalties. And the 2 investigations and all them felonies that he was about to get, they don't keep him from running for office or taking a political office. So again, there isn't a law that says that you can't be a felon and be an elected official. Sad to say it, but it's fucking true. It keeps people from being unfairly targeted by law enforcement because of their political stances. So understand that the state is going to, for the record, I create the American Socialist Party. I run for public office. The government can fucking hate people like me. They don't want people like me. They want capitalism to continue. They don't want to see some guy come in and say, hey, I want everybody to have health care. Right. So they could charge me. I'm guessing incitement. And they can push it as far as they want. But it can't keep me from running for office. And I think that's a good rule. People don't agree. Because they're like, oh, that means criminals can run for public office. It also means you can't be unfairly targeted, convicted, and kept from running for office. For some bullshit, which is gonna fucking happen. We know that, right? So, say all that to say, for those of you that are fretting in the background that nothing is gonna happen, sleep tight, honey. Because yesterday, Joe Biden met digitally with the G7. Does everybody know what the G7 is? Hello, hello, hello. Got 12 people in here and nobody's anywhere near their computer, huh? Okay. I'm gonna put some links in the chat. Stuff you might want to know. Stuff that happened yesterday. There you are, May. Okay, cool. Here's a link to an article. 2 Russian tankers carrying tons of fuel break in half and start sinking near Kerch Strait. Might want to look at that. Oil tankers don't typically just break apart and shit. That's a thing. And keep in mind, I'm not red pilled. I wouldn't say I'm blue pilled either. When I'm sharing with you are news events, things that have actually fucking happened. I know that the G7 is promise. Yeah. So, hold on, we're going to find it. Friday. Sorry, I lied. I'm not sorry. I'm cleaning while the kiddos are out walking. But yeah. So, I wanted to point out, okay. Let's talk about who are the G7. Okay? Group of 7. Okay? Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Okay? So, a lot of people, again, we were talking about the thing I'm trying to do is relieve people's anxiety and those people out there that are saying like they're not doing anything. Executive Order 13848, That ought to solve all the federal government employees that you thought were doing absolutely nothing. How about them apples? And then, hey, I'm sorry, I'm listening on my earpod. No, 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 it's all good. Hey, Friday, Joe Biden met with Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Okay? To discuss Ukraine and Syria. Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, the United Kingdom, and us. Okay? On Friday, to discuss Syria and Ukraine. And for the record, Russia, the far right leader of Germany, said they are questioning their NATO membership if we're not considering all European countries like Russia. So understand, in my eyes, what Joe Biden did by meeting with the G7 is force the people that aren't loyal to NATO and the G7 to start speaking out. The far right leader of Germany. And I anticipate, are you ready for this? Donald Trump and JD Vance will be visiting Germany soon, or their leader will come here. Okay? So, the other thing I want to point out, okay, from this Friday meeting, okay, because it wasn't a public meeting, it's not like you can go listen to a recording of it, is I want to ask my audience, I want to ask you all, do you honestly think that Joe Biden met with the G7 and they didn't talk about Trump or what's going to happen in like the next month or so? You didn't think this was probably a good time to ask? Hey, what's going on with y'all's election? You don't think that was like a really good time to have that conversation? And again, I'd point out that like there's a picture of the far right of Germany and GJT. Bang. See? Told you. Already. How'd I fucking told you? Oh, 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 oh. You know what we should talk about? Thank you for being here. Make sure that you drink water and touch grass. And when I say touch grass, I don't mean that I don't like you. I just mean like get up and move around. Take care of yourself. Remember birdies? Do you guys remember the little birdies that have been squawking in my ear and telling me stuff and how they're right most of the time actually? Does anybody know what I'm talking about when I talk about birdies? Okay. Well, remember that my little birdies told me a couple weeks ago that they felt like the next one to fall was Elon. Friday, I have a letter to his lawyer and a letter from his lawyer. Okay. About SEC charges for securities fraud. I also want to point out, because I feel like it's getting overlooked, guess who sued people for securities fraud? Kamala Harris. So when you were sitting around thinking nothing else is happening, I hope that hit like a ton of bricks. I honestly hope you're like, holy shit, Jared. Yep. I've been pointing shit out, and I mean, I can't really say much. I got like a following. There's people in here to listen to me talk. People say about the lawyer letters and that this will just go away. About the lawyer letters. The lawyer letters that this people say about the lawyer letters, this will just go away. Yeah, if he has $50 million. Yeah, so he has to come up with 50 million by Monday. Okay. So I'm guessing if you're being investigated that they can see your bank accounts with a phone call. I'm guessing you could do like a police report. Okay. So I know there's a lot of people. My wife is cooking something. That with the money from Elon. Yeah, but they're gonna distribute that with the money from Elon. hmm So like I said, yeah, I suppose he got 50 million somewhere, but where'd he get it from? And I think tracking where that money came from is part of this. And pushing, and I think timing is everything. Okay? I think if they charge him to get into a lot of shit with him. Fuck it. I want the fight. I want I want Starlink and Twitter to be public assets. So, let's go. What are we talking about? Like Elon Musk had private meetings with Iran. Treason. Elon Musk, through Vladimir Putin, for Xi Jinping, shut off Starlink over Taiwan. Taiwan's our allies. Treason. Has complained about how much Starlink in Ukraine's costing him while giving Starlink access to Russia. Treason. And it's because he has government contracts. And remember, I want to keep pointing this out. Ignorance of the law does not make you culpable. So you understand that, right? There are penalties whether you knew it was a crime or not. It is the electoral college vote, typically. So you have to understand that I've been talking about Article 4, Article 5, NATO, wartime powers, right? That that executive order 13848, it gives 120 days total, 4 months. So from my perspective, we've been talking about like a massive investigation coming to an end. World governments involved, world leaders involved, billionaires financing fascists involved. Like people are like, "Oh, this isn't moving fast enough for me, honey. We are moving at lightning speed." Like shit is flying. Like this, I don't know about y'all, but like it's like a government topples, right? A major world event happen. You know, it's been quiet. The weather is about the only thing that's been quiet, and I ain't even saying it's been quiet. You know what I mean? It's been a while. It's been a wild. Is there time? I think it's what scares us. For has to. So everything can happen in a. So I get it, but it's like historically they vote electoral college on the 17th. Understand the uproar starts then. Like people get super pissy 17th. The report's due the 20th, and I've said inside of 1 week. I'm saying there's no way. I mean, it's not like it's there's a lot of things that are like confidential, but it's all happened in front of your face. So a lot of the things that they're going to tell us about is what they said constitutes X crime. Here's what they did, right? So they're absolutely investigating. The fraud is fucking evident, right? And I get it. You're like, oh, it feels like, December 17th, January 6th, January 20th, right? Not nailed in stone. Like there's no hard fast rule that cannot be moved, you know? Like I've often felt like, do you want to know the most dangerous time in this country? Electoral vote certification, when they're all in their own states doing it, you know, in a Zoom call or whatever, because that's 50 different locations that have to be secured. And again, you have to ask yourself, Donald Trump's a fucking traitor that supported and participated in an insurrection and went to court over it, and he it's not like they said he was innocent. What electors are going to say we can't vote for Donald Trump with our electoral votes? And that's starting a shitstorm. People haven't even thought that out yet. Like, you the electors are not beholden to the demographic. They're beholden to the law. People don't realize that. Yes, it's going to be crazy. Craziness. Craziness. And I get it. I get it. People are like, "Oh my god, Jared." Yeah. Yeah. Well, I found out why stuff kept unplugging. But I don't know what it was, actually. Oh no. Okay, we're back. But yeah. I would question the red states, though, no. No, all 50 states. All fucking 50 states. Um, I think cheating happened in all 50 states. If you're just trying to overturn the presidential election, though, a lot of people are like, they think we need to recount every ballot for every person, and you got to understand, the Democrats don't want to fucking do that. Democrats don't want to do that because outside of the presidency and the MAGA candidates, Democrats cleaned fucking house. They won more than 70% of the elections they participated in. Like, North Carolina sticks out like a sore fucking thumb because just like Hakeem Jeffries said, Donald Trump won the presidency, right? But they won the governor's race, lieutenant governor, secretary of state, right? Like, all these elections down ballot, Democrats fucking cleaned house. Just basic guardrails at work keeps popping in my head as more like a snare, but I may not know what to do. So electoral point. Yeah. So understand that, like, on the 17th, okay, on the 17th, I expect fireworks of some sort. Okay? So either the Electoral College comes out with some spine and says we're not voting for someone that's not eligible to take office. And we're going to give our votes to Kamala Harris. And if that flips the results of the election on its own, fucking fireworks regardless, like, they're going to be shitty from then on, right? But again, I'd say there's not nothing going to happen. Here's how I know not nothing's going to happen. Democrats have been dumbass tight-lipped even up until this weekend. Like, I've not gotten anything about 26 and 28. I've not seen anything from either party looking ahead to 26 and 28. One article. One article came out where Kamala Harris came back from Hawaii looking ahead to 26 and 28 and shit. So remember, all those people, it's just a matter of time before they stab one another in the back and turncoat on each other too. It's about self-preservation in the end. Self-preservation before accountability. That's how those narcissists work. Right? So what I don't know about the Electoral College. I'll have to do some more research to see if I can support the concept that the electors should not be sending electoral votes for Donald Trump because he participated in insurrection and is not eligible for the office. So that could start 17th. Okay? Let's just say, like, they certify the election for Donald Trump. People are going to freak out, right? That report's due the 20th, and I expect by the 23rd that information's going to come out. Charges are going to come out. The election's going to be challenged. Hopefully before Christmas. I will point out that Kamala Harris said Tim and I'll see in January. And it's like, and also Kamala Harris said in the last week, I'm not going anywhere. So, is what unusual, brother? Justin, Everything is fucking unusual. So what specifically can I confirm is unusual for you? Yes, technically. That was the first word of your sentence is why I'm like I would think that they would not cast votes for someone who's not eligible for office, but I also have to consider their safety. It may not be safe for you to cast those votes and certify that election. Yeah, the electors cast their electoral votes. Yeah, don't certify if it's not right. That too. Except I expect certification. I expect certification, and then I expect an investigation. Them being quiet after a loss like this. Yeah. So, okay. That was the question, Justin. Thank you. So, Democrats are actually really good at communicating. They use social media well, they use email well. They stopped asking for donations the Tuesday. Remember that Tuesday like Zoom call they had where it was Tim Walz and Kamala Harris speaking, and there was the person that's like Libs for Change or whatever was the person that I don't remember what the org was. I'm sorry, but she spoke first or whatever, and last. People they stopped asking for donations. You know what I'm saying? They stopped asking for donations. They stopped talking about 26 and 28. I'm telling you, she went to Hawaii and met with CISA and the NSA and Army Cyber Command, and she came back and hasn't said a word about 26 and 28 since. The Democratic Party's in fucking lockstep. Not a single, not so much as a peep out of the left. It seems to me they're all on the same team, except for Kristen Sinema and Manchin, who voted to give um, a National Labor Relations Board to potentially Donald Trump. But again, quiet over less. But yeah, they're quiet because it's a national and international security issue, and they're in amidst an investigation. And they're also the ones certifying this election, and they're also the ones in charge of this administration. So I would argue that part of the reason that the Democrats haven't come out and handheld you is because they're fucking busy doing their jobs. They're still the party in power. They're certifying and count. It's their job to run this election. They're also amidst a very clear investigation because there's precedent. There's literally a legal precedent that requires that, and that's every agency or every like. Excuse me, random. But yeah, and Fetterman too. What D Brasher? What do you mean by you signed up for this? I'm here every day, baby. Minimum once a day, probably twice, men. Actually, that's why it looks so screwy. Fetterman, what was up with that? He's bending the knee. He's obeying in advance. He's recognizing that I believe he's supported by AI PAC. And same with the Florida Democrat that flipped to Republican. I'm pretty sure she's AI PAC, but I'm pretty sure the Russia and Israel is moving right. Yeah, he doesn't write his tweets. He might have the first thought there, like he might have given that quote. Hey, we want to write something about climate change or whatever. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, where I was like, their lives are in danger and shit. Yeah, that's why I'm like, I could just see him certifying the election. Yeah, and you got to understand, sometimes when you're in a information war, like information warfare, you got to throw nothing out too. It's like, make them look at this hand over here and then slap them with the other one. So that's what I take stuff like people take it as, oh, they're laying down. And it's like, they have social media managers, and that I'm guessing Joe Biden doesn't send his own fucking tweets. I'm also guessing Kamala Harris doesn't send her own tweets. She might. But like on the whole, you know, they have people that's their job. I went to school for social media, and I can tell you as someone who's helped someone build a company, that frequently it's either run a company or run a social media. But it's very difficult to run a company and social media. I'm not speaking of like small businesses like a fucking bakery. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying like in general, high profile jobs. Which I'm so confused about my MTG thing. What are you confused about? MTG is parroting Donald Trump, who sent on Truth Social that people should start shooting down drones. Drone thing's been really odd. I don't think it's been very odd. So I think, like I've just said, it makes sense to me that these drones are FAA compliant and are speaking with air traffic control and have a human aboard or in control, or they have a permit to operate. Okay. Understand that a drone got shot down yesterday in New Jersey, and it was a fucking Air Force drone. Somebody is going to fucking prison. Do you do you understand how illegal it is to take a high-powered rifle and turn it on a drone that you can't identify? Do you know how illegal that is? I've also said, if I'm the government and I want to know who's capable of fighting back against me, I start rolling drones out all over the country until people start taking them out of the sky. And then I know that there's people that will fucking do that. And that is illegal as hell. So those drones are surveillance, eyes and ears, um, because we have a domestic terrorist issue that is a matter of national and international security surrounding the results of this election. I don't have any questions as to why there are drones. We live in a country full of traitors. You know what's going to get them to flip the fuck out and act crazy and act out of sorts? Aliens, drones, UAVs, UAPs, and UABs. It's going to make them act out of sorts because nothing's happening. If there's these drones, but there's not a big public event. So what happens? They either they recluse themselves, right? And you'll never hear from them again. They're for completely justified in their belief that aliens are real and these drones are extraterrestrial. And yeah. So what they're realizing, what the right has to be realizing is that you can't just gaslight people forever. And they've managed to just gaslight their own people and sick them on the government at every turn. But for Donald Trump and Marjorie Taylor Greene to both start saying engage the drones, take down the drones, that should tell you everything you need to know. Because the Democrats are not out here talking about fucking drones and aliens. You notice they're not going to a podium and saying, "Hey, as an elected official, I just want to come out and say I'm really sorry if you feel like the government's not being truthful here regarding these drones. It's nothing to worry about." They haven't even done that. Why? Because it's a form of population control, right? They are single-handedly keeping stuff from happening. Because again, I've been saying this. People who are super susceptible to things like cults and paramilitary groups like the Proud Boys and the KKK and conspiracy theories in general. Those kind of people are going to be scared shitless when the government when there's UAVs, UAPs, UFOs and shit, and the government's like, we don't know. Oh, honey, they already don't trust the government, and now the government's saying they don't know? Oh, they've completely lost their fucking mind. And so there again, I'm telling you, there are people out here, I'm guessing it's less than like 20% of the it's it's like less than 20% of the US population is trying to put funds together to get a big enough gun to take down a fucking a UAV, a drone. It already happened. Somebody took down a drone. It's a fucking Air Force drone. They're going to prison that had cameras all over it, and it was also unmanned and it didn't have any weapons on it. So we already kind of know it's the government. I've been saying if the FAA, NATCA, or the NTSB ran out of spokesmen and said, "Oh shit," I would be the first person here to be like, "Okay, the FAA doesn't know what's going on." Okay? Because again, I've said, and I was telling my wife this morning because she was like, "There's like UAVs reported, drones reported in multiple states," and I'm like, "Uh huh, where?" Pennsylvania, okay. Michigan, okay. North Carolina, okay. Virginia, okay. DC, okay. Yeah, those are swing states in the fucking nation's capital. So we could keep sitting here and dance around who we think's got all these drones. The fucking government, their eyes and ears. They're also able to test people. How are you going to react when you see a drone? Oh, you're going to take your money and go buy a rifle that you could take down a drone with. Guess what? That's illegal as fuck. Look up U.S. missile defense. Do you understand that when you drive down long stretches of highway, if you see off to the side a circular hole in the ground, that holds a missile pod? They're all over the country. You ever heard of NORAD? Yeah, New Jersey too. Yeah, so that's a radar system, and U.S. missile defense has literal like pods that come out of the ground that would shoot something out of the sky. No fucking problem. Not a problem. They don't even have to, back in my day, 20 years ago when I was training to be an air traffic controller, they would have scrambled jets. Hmm. And they get there pretty quick from Grissom Air Force Base, which is in northern Indiana. And he asked me how I know. Remember, I told you I was a pilot? Remember how I told this story about how I was an instructor in training, and the guy that lived across from me, who is a helicopter instructor in the Marine Corps, the guy lived across from me, or he's probably like a senior leader now. He's been in about 20 years, I think. He he had gone to a party. He'd gotten super wasted at a party, and he was like, "Hey, I'm gonna sign myself in and out, but I need you to fly." So what we did was fucking illegal as hell. Okay, and I had to take another student pilot up. And so, one of my first times flying an airplane, I lied about being an instructor and took another aircraft up, and we did what we were supposed to do. And we were going back. And they took a wrong fucking turn. And to make it worse, they also did a wing over. And most people don't even know what a wing over is. So, we were up a couple thousand feet in the air, flying over Ross-Ade Stadium after 9/11, okay? They scrambled fucking jets, and as we got told by ATC, what you're doing is in violation of the FAA. You're not allowed. You're in restricted airspace. You're not allowed to be here. Jets are being scrambled from Grissom Air Force Base to get you off that fucking path, and we had to make a left. My other aircraft does a fucking wing over in front of God and everybody. Wing over is when you tip your airplane upside down, but what ends up happening in these single engine small aircraft is the motor fucking stops propelling you, and it can send you into a spiral and you could crash. Okay? So he did a fucking wing over against. I wasn't fucking doing that shit. And I had to go after him because I'm like, if he starts falling and he doesn't know how to get out of this, we're both dead. I'm dead. I'm getting shot out of the sky by a fucking YF-22 for fucking sure. And this pilot here, I'm kicking his ass as soon as we get out of this fucking airplane. So for the record, that dude had 2 black eyes. Like, I can't believe you just fucking did that. We are going to jail. Okay? So what happened was he does a wing over. I got to go with him. I got to talk him out of it. We get down under 1,000 fucking feet before we both recover. We fucking get out of the fucking restricted airspace. We fucking land our planes. Fighter jets. And you're like, we were fucking dead. Those were going to shoot us out of the fucking sky. I got to meet everyone. Everyone. If you ever wondered who's this person's boss, who's this person's boss, who's this person's secretary, they were like, what y'all did was a matter of national security. You should be in fucking prison for what you did. Not only were you flying in restricted airspace, but you were under where the fucking elevation at which you're supposed to fly, and you did a fucking double wing over people. So when people ask me, it pisses me the fuck off. Why aren't they doing anything? Why won't they just tell us what the drones are for? Because it's a matter of national and international security. They used to scramble jets to your location. Now they just have missile pods buried in the ground all over the US. And they have this thing called fucking NORAD. So if you think you're flying a paper airplane in this bitch and the FAA ain't gonna get involved, son, I just told you. Now, for the record, what happened was I had to go in front of a hearing. I had to separate myself from that person after I fist fought them in the hangar. And I told them I take no responsibility. I wasn't even supposed to be there. I was supposed to be a student. And I didn't tell them that the guy that lived across from me is an instructor. He's the one that signed in and signed us out. And I took the fall for it. He was joined the Marine Corps, was pilots, had a full career. So when you are shitty, because they're not shooting Massachusetts too, why they're not just shooting these drones out the sky, now you know why I'm so belligerent. I got to meet fighter pilots that day. They landed their airplanes, they got out of their airplanes, and they were hot. Y'all are student pilots? Why are you flying over large crowds in restricted airspace after 9/11? Are you trying to get shot out of the sky? Like, do you understand that we had guns and missiles hot on our way? And we could have taken off, gotten to altitude, and fired immediately and just shot you out of the sky from hundreds of miles away. So most people don't have that story to tell you, hey, you're not flying anything without FAA certification, without communicating with air traffic control, and also not deviating from a predetermined flight path, because if you deviate from a predetermined flight path, that can be considered a risk. You can't even like turn too hard. Yeah, MTG is just going to make people go to jail. Yeah. So Now we all understand. What are the drones? Government drones. Why doesn't the, I don't know, the police, the who is it? Local police and FBI, why don't they know? It's not their jurisdiction. I could say that. They're going to have to investigate OGAs. They're going to have to go to the FAA, NATCA, NTSB to get reports from. But again, they can't do anything until someone shoots one out of the sky. And like I said, that happened as far as I know, it happened this morning in New Jersey. Someone already shot one out of the sky. It was a fucking Air Force drone. So again, that person's going to prison that shot that drone out of the sky. They'll probably never own a gun again. They'll probably be on house arrest forever, at the very least. And also, government officials telling people to shoot down drones is a crime. That it's a crime for you to tell someone to engage the government. That's like a form of insurrection. Just so everyone also knows that. Marjorie Taylor Greene, if somebody acts on her decision, what she told them to do, she's in trouble. You definitely do not have permission from the federal government to engage aircraft. What a movie is that? I'm thinking of The Bourne Identity. Doesn't he take down a fighter jet that's trying to engage him? Yeah, that's not real either. You ain't hitting that shot. But yeah. So yeah, we've been live about an hour and 13 minutes. Got 14 people in here. I'm so happy to see you all. Make sure that you drink water today. Touch grass. When we say touch grass, we just mean move around a little bit. Exercise. Get 8+ hours of sleep. Make sure you're treating yourself well through all of this. You know? And a lot of people are going to start asking why the fuck would Donald Trump sign that executive order? And he was intending to use it in 2020 to win the election, and he didn't get enough done in time to make good on it. It didn't work out in his favor. Plus, Joe Biden was a legitimate political candidate and might be the might be the best president we've ever had. So that all has a big factor in why the fraud and interference didn't work, because Joe Biden's goddamn good. But yeah, I want to make sure that my audience knows, like, he tried to sign that executive order and allow the OGAs to skirt SCOTUS. But yeah, the executive order gives prosecutorial power to the DOJ, which bypasses Congress. That's the whole reason that I'm like super confident. Because there's nothing stopping them from sentencing and trying and sentencing and convicting him. Side note, December 16th, 20th deadline doesn't necessarily mean anything will be announced immediately after all states certify. So make sure that you know this and you're telling everybody else, because I don't want anyone to go protest for no fucking reason. Okay? So hey, let's start making sure that we're putting the message out. Hey, time frames don't matter. They are an aberration. If they are followed, concern. If there's no announcement, that's actually good for us. I'm actually with that. I'm actually, either way, I'm good. If they want to give out the messaging and give the impression, fine. Fine. But understand they could also say nothing. That's why I keep bringing up NATO Article 4, Article 5, wartime powers. I don't see those things being brought up anywhere. Why? Because people don't want to pay attention to NATO. But oh shit, I forgot to show you some stuff. So I've shown you that. Okay. I had a couple of other things to show you. I had pulled up some more news stuff and then we'll get out of here. Okay, we've been going for about an hour and 15. Okay. Getting like about 15 people in here. Hey, it's a party. North Korean troops opened fire on a Russian unit. That's wild. Right? Here you go. Yeah. 8 Russian troops killed in North Korean friendly fire. We'll see. Yeah. Wait, really? Really what? May what, but dear? Oh, you talking about the friendly fire incident? Yeah, that really happened. Here's a second article. Yeah, that's why friendly fire, dear. They're on the same team. That's what friendly fire is like when you shoot someone that's on your team. Yeah, so I want to talk about this. So I think Russia and North Korea are weaker than they've ever been. Here's how I know. First of all, like 50,000 North Korean troops or something, 150,000. Fuck, who cares, really? North Korean troops were given to Russia. Understand that they were out of shape, malnourished, and had to be trained up, and then were sent immediately to the front lines. And even Ukraine said it's getting bad out there. Like they're not ready. And their losses have been insane. Like understand and get it not twisted. If I kill in combat one person and then I die, that's a 1-to-1 kill death ratio, right? I killed one person, then I immediately die. Okay? Understand that and keep in mind that's typically how it works out. For every one of your losses, maybe they lose one. In this fight in Ukraine, oh honey, Ukraine's lost like 43,000 people. That's a lot. It's a fucking lot. Russia, 743,000 people. So remember how I told you? Most of the time, you might kill one person before you die. Maybe. And again, I'm saying it's like 17, 18 to 1. You don't win wars this way. You can't be that inefficient. It's called combat effectiveness. You can't be that combat ineffective and win a war. It don't work like that. You know? It's like in Call of Duty, man. There are some people that every time they spawn, they run to the gunfire, die immediately, and just spawn and do it over again. It's like Day After Tomorrow type shit. Okay? That Tom Cruise movie. But the reality is, you only live once. You only get one life. Mm-hmm. And in addition to that, because now that there's been like a friendly fire incident, in addition to North Korean troops showing up and being poorly trained and malnourished, it tells me North Korea is not feeding their troops and not training up their troops before sending them off to foreign war, and then they're just getting sent to the front line. And like I said, even fucking Ukraine's like, this shit is bad. They are not ready. A friendly fire incident where 8 Russian troops died at the hands of North Koreans? This tells me they're not even able to communicate effectively and work together. They're not making progress together. And yeah, May said economy in Russia is in the toilet too. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. And see, one of the things that people talk about in the United States that we don't talk about other places is the effect of protest in other countries. And in Russia, I've been saying for a while, it only takes one missile strike in a Moscow, in a St. Petersburg, before the Russian people protest. Stop this now. We don't want to go a foot farther. And up to this point, it's all war loss. So gain and lose control of land, and obviously there are people, but again, we're not talking about the two major population centers in Russia. That's why I think Donald Trump putting out a public statement saying I don't want Ukraine conducting deep missile strikes within Russia. Well, if you just look at where they're already fighting and where they're not fighting, you're like, oh, he's saying he doesn't want Ukraine to hit the two largest population centers in Russia, Moscow and St. Petersburg. Okay. If I'm understand correctly, there's like 230 million people in the St. Pete area, and there's like 30 million people in the Moscow. Or is it backwards? I could be wrong. I don't fucking care. I fucking hate them all. Understand that we don't sympathize with our enemy. Russia, Vladimir Putin put bounties on American soldiers. People like me are worth more money to Russia because I'm a veteran. I also have a college degree. I'm also speaking out against them. I'm like highly valuable. Mm-hmm. I knew I put a target on my back, but I've already talked to the feds and the police before I ever started going live. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So I'm not surprised if they're here listening, or if they're outside. Don't give a shit. I ain't saying nothing illegal or wrong. So yeah, got about 8-10 minutes left. Just kind of going over the morning news. Okay. Uh, Israel to close Ireland embassy, open one up in Moldova. Huh. Feel like that's interesting. That's a story that's going to get swept under the rug. Oh. Do y'all know who Andrew Tate is? It's like the middle of winter in Romania, and the Romanian government turned off his electricity in the middle of winter. I don't know if anybody, because he's like a child trafficker and a fucking horrible person. So, like, I don't know if anybody saw that happen. Oh, Israel paves way for strike on Iran's nuclear facilities. So, this is, yeah, it is great too. I fucking hate him so much. Hell of a kickboxer, man. But that shit goes away, bro. Yeah. Oh, my doggies are starting to whine. She said, "Ooh." You hear my dogs in the background. Ooh, 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 ooh. They're all whining because I'm not in there. And by the way, you know how like I mean I started on TikTok October 21st, so the day after that Nazi rally at the Madison Square Gardens. And I mean, since a fucking election night, about 8 p.m. actually, I was like, oh shit, like this election's fall fucked up. Fortunately, like I've said, within 24 hours, AOC got on her live and said, look at my eyes. What happened on election night was so massive. And the longer I sit with that, I realize the scope. And I'm confident. I'm not of the thought process that the yeah, Justin. Yeah, that's kind of why I was like, that's gonna happen. It's gonna suck for somebody. But that's why it's troubling. Like, is it not troubling for you for BB to have a good relationship with Donald Trump, for Elon to go to Iran and talk to them, and then the fall of Syria gives Israel the chance to attack Iran? And it's like, what a clusterfuck. Donald Trump and Elon Musk, are they even on the same team? Is it? I thought Donald Trump was friends with BB. And am I am I fucked up? He's going to. I mean, maybe he's going to Iran to tell him to give in to Israel, right? It's still, this shit's crazy. But yeah, what I was getting ready to say is this subreddit that I'm on. So for the record, this subreddit gives me life. Okay, something's wrong. 2024. This is where I found Stephen Spoonamore. This is where I found Jackie Singh. Okay, this is the only subreddit that I've found that we can have our conversations about politics, that our politics, our world news, our Democrats aren't going to just crash. So, anytime I've called into question this election and I haven't posted it on this subreddit, it's getting. He was celebrated by BB. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump are like, I think that Elon Musk. Here's what I think, because people are like, this relationship is weird. Or we are talking about Elon and Trump, right? That relationship being weird. Can we? Yeah, some because like three people in a row are like, hey, that's weird. What specifically? So I can speak on it, because I can tell you how they're all weird. But what were Brasher and May talking about? Whose relationships? Can you guys tell me? Were you talking Elon and Donald Trump? Okay. So here's for the record. Y'all know, like, I'm not a bigot, right? And I know every time somebody says I'm not a bigot, they say some bigot shit. But what I mean when I say I'm not a bigot when I say this. Okay, and you meant something else. Okay, that's aid to the enemy. Thank you. Okay. Uh Here's what I've heard. You meant BB and Trump. We could talk about that too, and we'll get out of here, okay? So I want to get this out, okay? I worked for a couple years for a very popular gay man in Indianapolis. And I met, as a result of that, a lot of his fucking gay friends and others. Gay, lesbian, bi, trans. I've met a lot of his friends. He's a very popular man. Like, he had a birthday party at his condo and 65 people fucking showed up. So when I say, like, I was still I'm friends with him. He's a cocaine addict, and I've been to the hospital 3 times as he got his stomach pumped since I met him. Okay, I don't even know if he's alive anymore. If he is, his name is Nate. It's fucking awesome. Okay, but I made friends with his friends that I'm still friends with. Okay, and one of the conversations that I've had with a handful of people that fall into the LGBTQA is what I call them. Okay, a few people that I'm friends with that are in the LGBTQA are talking about how Donald Trump and Elon Musk are in a relationship. I know you just threw up in your mouth. Here's what I've heard. I know you're like sick to your fucking stomachs. Uh, from those people that fall into the LGBTQA, they're like, Elon Musk, and they're just picking out his behavior, and they're saying because of his behavior he's this, and they don't have to be correct, but it gives you an angle into a relationship. I don't know anything about it. I don't know anything about Elon Musk and Donald Trump. I don't know why are they. I think Elon Musk sees him as a mark and thought he could buy his way into power, and it looked like he did that. Except he didn't pass a government class, and he didn't know that you can't win the election on election night. You got to actually win the fucking election. And again, I've been saying not only did Donald Trump not win this fucking election, they actually got absolutely Yeah, thanks, Lori. I was waiting for somebody to be like, Jared, that's fucking gross. It gets worse. I'm about to get worse. Okay? So the rumor is that Elon's the girl. Elon's the one dressing up in the maid outfit. There's a reason. Yeah, I know. But there's also the belief because they're both on they're both on ketamine, that they neither of them would be able to like really get it up or hold in their bowels. And remember, in the last month, we've heard that I've heard that Elon pooped himself. Yeah. So I think part of the reason they're so fucking angry, and I know y'all are like, God damn, Jared. You want to know why Donald Trump and Elon Musk are angry all the fucking time? I've been trying to tell people this, but nobody wants to. I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. No, like they do it to each other. It's just one of them's a girl sometimes. And they can't even get their dicks hard and hold their bowels, which what I've found is that if you're on K, you're also on Cialis. So they're both on K, they're both on Cialis. There's rumors of cocaine use too. So yeah. Me and May did the same thing where you're like, fuck, god damn. So look, I'm not a doctor. I don't even stay in Holiday Inn Express. Okay? Um now you're kind of figuring out why are they so fucking angry. It's because Donald Trump and Elon Musk have a I don't know how to explain that. A dominant male and a submissive twink relationship, but their drug use is keeping them either one from being able to get it up, and they're on other drugs that are like cocaine and fucking Cialis to try to like get a hard on and get their heart pumping so they can get some blood into their dick and shit. And so like I know that in your brain it's them doing it. And in my no, they fucking hate each other because they can't do what they want to do publicly and privately. What other people have purported is going on, it isn't happening. So you wonder why they are constantly violent, and it's because they're druggies. It's because they are hardcore ketamine addicts to the degree that they've lost their ability to like get a hard on and fucking hold their poop in. I know, you're just like, what the fuck? Yes. Part of the reason those people fucking hate all the time is because they can't fuck. And then in order to be able to fuck, they got to take Cialis. They got to even do cocaine, which makes you angry and unfuckable. Actually, actually, B plus like I can't do this shit. And again, that's about as conspiracy theorist as I'll go. Yep, suppressed desires, due to fear of shaming is a big issue with a lot of people. A lot of people think I'm just saying the worst thing I can say about someone when I talk about Donald Trump and Elon Musk. And baby girl, I am not. That's a fucking very dangerous situation for everyone involved. And if you think it's not grounded in some reality, you're fucking crazy. You've lost the you've lost the plot. It ain't me. It ain't me. Ain't me. Yeah. Well, May I think Kamala Harris is about to mommy the fuck out of them. If you don't mind me. I wonder why he couldn't hold his poop in. Oh yeah, he's a ketamine addict, babe. Yep. That's Maru, that's one of my mods. Like, I wonder why he couldn't fucking hold his poop in. Oh yeah, ketamine. I looked it up. I looked up like what are the negative side effects of ketamine, and it was like, do you never want to get a hard on again? Do you never want to be able to hold in your bowels? And I was like, oh god, that's why. Like, I would be fucking mad too if my fucking drug of choice made me not able to hold my poop in or get a boner. And then on top of that, I had a separate conversation with someone that works in medicine, and they were like, ketamine addiction, cocaine addiction, Cialis. And you're just like, oh, that's that's a cocktail and a half. How long can you do that? And they're like, you can't. You shouldn't be mixing fucking ketamine, cocaine, and fucking Cialis and alcohol. And no. No. Yeah, that is not good. Not good. All these people can call it out scenario they couldn't be who they want to be. Exactly. Exactly. So I know that was like a wild way to end our morning show. But it's hey, shit. Some of the shit that comes to me, it can't all be like sourced material. Sometimes it's got to be like I have friends that are like gay and bi and lesbian and trans, and the common theme in conversations with them about this situation is they're like, oh, he's a twink. He wears the maid outfit. Donald Trump wears the big boy pants. Yep. Poopy Pants is a Special K act. Yep. Mm-hmm. And it's like the opposite of being. I'm so hoping that the SEC charges come pass. I mean, too. I'm hoping you don't have the money. You know what I mean? That's what I've been saying this whole time. How do you turn this shit upside down? No. No, Justin. Which we think we'll know by tomorrow. No. Oh, we may know about the charges. Yeah, we may know whether or not Elon Musk had the 50 milli. Yeah. And then like I said, we're in wait and see mode. Today's the 15th. I said the 23rd. So tomorrow, for the record, is 1 week out from when I expect to hear something back about Executive Order 13848, and I'm expecting to hear something like all of the reports were delivered, all the president, vice president, all the heads of state, they've all got these reports. They're all going to come out and give their own versions of, like I said, what people don't understand when you're receiving reports from multiple agencies, they're on their own letterhead. They're using their own, they're using their own PowerPoint style, whatever, to give this information to them. And what you have to do is you have to collate all that work, and then you have to make it presentable. And you have to tell the whole story. So every one of these people 17th though. Yeah. Every one of these agencies, these heads of agencies that give all these reports to those secretaries and even the president, they're going to have to comb through that for it's going to take a couple days. That's why I'd said I actually think Kamala Harris told us after December 21st in her fucking concession speech. because she said only when it's darkest will you truly see the stars. And I think that it's obvious they knew about Executive Order 13848 long before we ever did, but also uh, the winter solstice is December 21st, the shortest day of the year. So the darkest day would be the 21st. And then only when it's darkest will you truly see the stars. And I think the stars is the fucking DOJ. For the record, I expect by the time this is all over with to have a much different opinion of FBI Director Wray, of fucking Merrick Garland. I expect to have a completely different fucking opinion of those people because they've been doing their goddamn job at a high fucking level. Okay? So, like I said, 15 people in here. Thank you so much. Hey, touch grass, drink water, get 8+ hours of sleep. Take care of yourself first. Got some fucking brains. Yeah. I was talking to my wife last night when I was just like, wait a minute. Only when it's darkest will you truly see the stars. Darkest? The fuck? And I was like, she wasn't talking about post January 20th, like after he's elected, you're about to find out. It's like, isn't there like a shortest day or something coming up? And then doesn't that also coincide with December 20th? Oh, there's no way. There's no way you're getting, if you're, let's say you're Kamala Harris, and you get all those reports from all those agencies on the 20th delivered to your desk, and they're all in their own folder, and they're all printed out and laminated. Honey, you're not going to a podium and talking about it. You're going to sit down at your desk, you're going to go through it, you're going to take the information off this page. That's a page. You're going to skip a few pages. You're going to take this information, you're going to go to this report. You're going to take this information. You're going to go to this report. You're going to take this information. They also have to figure out what of these are going to result in charges. And I think that's probably already happened. Remember the med list last time he was in office? Yeah. So that's one of the things about him still being alive. Every day when I wake up, I'm like, he is still here. Huh. I don't take anything. I mean, smoke a little Ripple, and by Ripple I mean like all day. And I drink my coffee, but I switch to water. Like, I don't drink alcohol, don't smoke cigarettes. You know what I mean? Like, generally, like, I'm a pretty healthy person. And like, Donald Trump is the fucking polar opposite of that shit. And like I said, every day that I wake up, I'm like, your body didn't fucking give up on you yet? God damn. So, I know shit's rocky, but I don't actually see it that way at all. I haven't felt that. I felt that way on election night where I was like, this shit sucks. We're going to get fucked. But like I said, it went from there's no way to now here we are, Justice's waiting room. We're just waiting on shit to pop off. And it already is, and it has been. You know what I mean? It hasn't been enough, and it hasn't been the right people yet, but the pieces are starting to come together. And they have been, and they will continue to do that. Okay? Great disappointment he's still here. Hey, and I just wish. Oh, the food he eats. Yeah, he's like, he eats McDonald's. Y'all. I haven't eaten McDonald's in a decade. And I'm not even like stopping in for a sweet tea type shit. Like, I have not spent money at McDonald's in a fucking decade. And I worry about my health. You know what I mean? DJT is like a druggie eating at Mackie Doo's, staying up till 3 in the morning. He's not even playing video games. You know what I mean? I'm telling you, it's because he's old and he can't get a boner. That's why we're all gonna die. Him and Elon can't get it up, so we're all fucked. People are getting really nervous. Yeah. That's why we're here. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help you relax, laugh a little. Let's talk about things that are actually happening in the world, right? Real world news and politics. And, sometimes you have a little fun, get a little sidetracked, have a little off topic conversation. Okay. And that's actually healthy. It's healthy to not be so goddamn serious all the time. Okay. Yeah. Maru's got it right. One of those like more excited, nervous, teaching us patience. You know what I think? I think you will see their trials used the rest of their lives to explain how we aren't going backwards to this because we had such good examples of it. We had really good fucking examples of what not to do. I'll put it like this, and then we'll get out of here. And I don't want to scare anyone. So keep in mind, I'm prefacing my close with I don't want to scare you. And I'm not talking about something I'm going to do either. Okay? But I'm going to look at the camera when I say it. He will never be president again. And if it takes a lot of the guys that I served with to Luigi Mangione a bunch of people in positions of power, that will happen before Donald Trump becomes president again. And I'm not talking about me or anyone I know. But there are a whole bunch of people that fought for this country, gave their friends and family members and sacrificed relationships with them and can never get them back, that see Donald Trump as an existential threat and have already said many times over he will never be president again if it takes violence. So and don't think like January 6th type shit. Think like broad daylight type shit. And also on this whole like CEOs are in danger tip, I just want to make sure that we talk about, how the United Healthcare CEO got fucking, yeah, yeah, yeah. Did you hear about the richest man in Spain that founded Mango that fell 500 feet to his fucking death yesterday? So, like I've said, do you understand now? Not only, okay, so my dad taught me this phrase, not only no, hell no. I hope you understand now. Yeah, I'd rather Garland just work really hard. I'm with Joanne. But understand, like, there's a whole bunch of people that serve this country that are like, oh no no, oh no no, him and none of them. Yep. Hey, it's easy to be a pessimist. It's easy. That's the easiest thing to do, right? Because you're right until shit happens. So all you get none of the anxiety and all of the being right up until something happens, and then you're immediately wrong for being that pessimistic. So you just got to be careful about taking on a pessimistic mindset. Is that it's dangerous because you're a pessimist. You're right. You're right all this time. You don't have the other emotions to deal with because you just get to be right as long as nothing happens. But the second something happens, you're now unfulfilled again because you're a pessimist. And you were just hoping that nothing would happen so that you would be right. And I'm not saying that you actually hope nothing would happen so that you would be right. But your pessimistic mind does. Your mind wants nothing to happen because then your mind is justified in feeling that way. And again, the problem with pessimism is that you are justified until the moment of action. And then you're like, fuck, I got nothing. I got nothing left because I thought shit was not going to happen, and then it did. And again, I've been saying every day, shit is popping off. It just doesn't feel like it's doing what we want it to do yet. I'm telling you it's going to be okay. Because I will also flip the fucking switch. The millisecond that I feel like, because that's why I'm trying to grow a following, And I'm not saying flip and become a hard right. I'm saying like I go from being like, oh, the government's going to get it right to we are going to have to protest the government. Like we're going to have to take to the streets type shit. I don't think you're going to have to do that. You got to remember who's in charge. The Democrats are in charge right now. It's their election to run. It's their military. And understand also you can use wartime powers to have the military run an election that you decide to revote. And I would love to do that. I would love to be forced to appear in person and fill out a ballot by hand. I would love to fucking do that. I would love to do that. Because you know who's going to have a real hard time mobilizing and getting themselves in position to vote again? MAGA. So, hey, yeah. She also said, I ain't going anywhere in a speech she gave in the last 48 hours. And she, again, like I said, she's never, okay, here's a way to give you, like, here, you won't be so anxious. Kamala Harris nor Joe Biden have not yet said out loud, Donald Trump won this election. He will be the next president. He will be inaugurated on January 20th. To me, those three statements, until those come out of someone's mouth, they are specifically not saying those things. Okay? That's how I operate. If you haven't said Donald Trump won this election, he will be your next president, he will be inaugurated on January 20th. The moment they come out with that, we got a problem. Until then, it's like, mum's the word. They ain't saying shit. We don't have a need to protest yet. Like I said, I've said so far protesting is counterproductive here. They're protesting because the elections are over though, guys. So understand Georgia and Romania, that election was over and they elected the person, then they found out they cheated. We aren't even there yet. We will never get there. And it's because of Executive Order 13848. I'm not turning my fucking TV on. Nope. Not until I start seeing news stories from major news sources covering the stuff we're covering. Like, think about this. You haven't seen Jackie Singh or Steven Spoonamore on one major network? He is not the president yet. Okay? He's just a president elect. That's not even a title. Hey, make sure you like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Make sure you follow me on Blue Sky. You are obviously follow me on TikTok. That's how we all got here. I think I'm about halfway through my ban. So we'll be back co-streaming live on TikTok and YouTube. Just understand there's going to be a tone change between live streaming on YouTube, knowing you could pretty much say whatever you want and they're really not going to clamp down too hard, and knowing that TikTok is going to ride the shit out of me. Okay? I get one out of every like dozen posts gets taken down. And by the way, there's a post on my TikTok that I would really like everyone to like watch front to back that may like do some shit for you. Let me post it. Cuz it got taken down and I had to appeal it and they gave it back to me. So, most of the time you'll never hear me asking you, "Will you watch this TikTok?" But this one TikTok took down and they gave it back. And I'm just saying like, hey, that's the thing. Okay? So that it says front to back. Watch this video front to back. Okay. So we're going to get out of here. Ran a little long today, but hey, that's what we're here for. And I will talk to you guys later. Okay.